all the happiness right now is from my own now. No more blues, I'm going back home. No more tears, I feel it on my heart now. I'm settled down and never room and find a man that feels down when we settle down. There'll be no more blues, nothing but happiness when we settle down. There'll be no more blues.
we are. Thank you for your patience. Welcome back, everyone. I would like to call Ms. Angeline to the podium to come and lead us in the Star Spangled Banner. Remain standing, please.
What's so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watch, where so gallantly stream, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, came through the night, that our flag was still there. Oh, who saved us that star-spangled banner yet wave, o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Congratulations and thank you, Angeline. She was accompanied by Nicola. Once again, I will welcome Ms. Linchency for opening remarks. In the meantime, you may take a seat, but we'd like all the veterans in this room to remain standing so we may recognize them. Everyone else, have your seat, please. All the vets in this room may remain standing for a moment so we recognize you. Ms. Linchency, please.
You all should be proud that your son, your daughter, your spouse, your mother, your father has chosen to pursue a very noble and respected profession. According to the latest annual Gallup grading of various professions, nurses lead the nation in honesty and ethics for the 20th consecutive year. As you all can observe in this room and also in the previous room, our student body consists of students from 28 countries around the globe. I want to take this time to say a special welcome to each one of them, their families and guests. So to our Creole-speaking students from Haiti and their families and guests, I say to you, bon fini. To our French-speaking students, families and guests from Gabon and Ghana, I say to all of you, bienvenue. To our students, families and guests from Cuba, Venezuela, Colombia, Dominican Republic, and Mexico, we say to all of you, bienvenido. To our students, families, and guests from Brazil, bem-vindo. To our students, families, and guests from Sierra Leone, Cabo. To our students, families, and guests from Kenya, Caribou. To our students, families, and guests from Guinea-Bissau, Ethiopia. To our students, families, and guests from Guinea, Sene. To our students, families, and guests From the Philippines, Mabuhay. To our students, families, and guests from the beautiful island of Fiji, Nisam Bula. To our students, families, and guests from China, bear with me on this one. Wan Ying. To our students, families, and guests from India, Punjab region, Jai Aya Nu. To our students, families, and guests from India, Gujarati region, Swagat. To our students, families, and guests from Eastern Nigeria, Manon. To our students, families, and guests from Afghanistan and Iran, Kush Ahmadi. To our students, families, and guests from Myanmar, Mingala Bar. To our students, families, and guests from Ethiopia, and Kwan Lena Letu. To our students, families, and guests from Pakistan, Hush Amdi. And to our students, families, and guests from good old USA, welcome! All right. Okay. So everybody who knows me knows I love to throw a party. And I always want a theme. So I was thinking about a theme for a while for this graduation. And I kept thinking, what should I do? And then I looked around one day as I was teaching a class, and I realized that we are a multicultural student body. So tonight we want to celebrate multicultural nursing care. I have to say I wasn't the one who originally came up with this. I looked around again, as I said, and that's what came to my mind. But the original person, who is no longer alive, she was a great nurse theorist. Her name was Madeline Leninger. For those who are not familiar with Madeline Leninger, she was a nurse, an educator, and a researcher. She earned several degrees, including a doctor of philosophy, a doctor of human sciences, and a doctor of science. However, her greatest achievement was her research and development of her transcultural nursing theory, which first appeared in Leninger's Cultural Care Diversity and Universality book, which was published in 1991. Mrs. Leninger's transcultural nursing theory helped nurses to look at a patient as a whole person and helped us to value and take a patient's culture and cultural background into consideration when deciding how to care for that patient. Mrs. Leninger believed that a patient's culture can have as much of an effect on that patient's health and recovery as the patient's environment, social life, and treatment. It helps strengthen the concept of seeing a patient as a whole patient, rather than viewing them as a set of symptoms or an illness. Today at this graduation, we are celebrating again multicultural nursing care. At a time when our country and the world seems so polarized, and battle lines are drawn between what race you belong to, identify with, or what political belief you subscribe to, or what zip code you live in, or what religion you believe in. Madeline Leninger's transcultural theory is more important than ever. At Sunrise School of Nursing, we are proud that we are providing our students who come from many corners of the world an environment where they together can learn, can study together, can laugh, can have fun, and when those things happen, we all are better for it. To embody Mrs. Leninger's transcultural theory, We must first put aside our own biases and treat each other and our patients with respect, dignity, and love, so we can all lead a healthier, peaceful, and loving life. For at the end of the day, and ultimately, we all belong to one race, the human race. Thank you again for being here tonight.
Dr. Martin Luther King had a dream. Remember I mentioned earlier the dream that Miss Jency had, which is now the reality that we're living. Yes. Barack Obama said, yes, we can. Obviously, we can. We're doing it now. I think it's time for us to take a listen to our own Haitian Dr. Eddie Altine, who is going to share with us some inspirational and uplifting words. Dr. Altine is the chairperson and member of the board of directors. On this note, I welcome Dr. Eddie Altine. Let me hear you.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the warm welcome. I'm proud of you already, to the graduates. Graduates, family members, staff, and faculty. It is an honor to be part of this celebration, the graduation ceremony at Sunrise Nursing School. It is a unique experience, trust me, this afternoon to share in the intensity of emotions filling this ballroom. As you are closing this chapter of your life story, I just want to congratulate the parents that should be very proud, because now you've seen your daughters, your sons, you knew them very well, you knew them in high school. Now they are graduating to be nurses. Okay? Those parents should be proud. I think everyone should give them a warm round of applause to the parents of the world. Dear graduate of the class of 2022, as you are stepping in this new chapter, in this new profession, be aware that the world is in turmoil right now. We are all facing hard times. We are really looking at the worst that we have seen in our generation. But guess what? We believe that you are equipped with after having been trained with this nursing program. You have technology. Okay, now you've been really prepared to face all these challenges and issues that we see in the world these days. Okay, maybe some of you, later on, if you continue with your studies, you'll be the ones discovering the cure for so many incurable diseases. Maybe you will, provided that you continue. Okay, don't be intimidated by that. Some of you will do that. And I commend all of you already who will be deciding to do so. Okay, so now you have acquired the knowledge to be nurses, because we are attending your graduation ceremony. And now you are the new actors, not only in that profession, but in the world, because the nursing is not only nursing care. He's talking about ethics, he's talking about respect, he's talking about you have to be culturally diverse. It's really a load of things that you have to you will be responsible for. And I believe that you, as the new actors, you already now, after being trained by a fantastic staff and faculty, okay, I'm sure that you are ready to face this challenge and be ready to improve the world and show that things are possible to be better. Okay, so now, this afternoon, as I mentioned earlier, you are stepping into a new chapter in your life. Be ready for it. Let this be the first step towards higher and higher levels. So on this note, I got to say congratulations, good luck, and God bless you.
Thank you, Dr. Altine, known to us as Titi. Very, very wise words. Our program continues with the introduction of our keynote speaker tonight for the commencement ceremony. Her name is Stephanie Delgado Tadal, Dr. Tadal. Dr. Stephanie Tadal is the Director of Instructional Design and Training at the Herbert Wertheim College of Medicine at Florida International University. She assists in the co-creation and improvement of fully online and hybrid courses at the College of Medicine. Dr. Tadal is also an instructor, and in her instructional role, she prepares undergraduate and graduate students for teaching in today's K-12 institutions. She's a regular speaker at national and international conferences, discussing topics related to the equitable use of technology and curricular designs. She has been in over 1,000 classrooms, conducting environmental assessments and evaluating the efficacy of teacher practices. She has consulted on educational policy, both at the county and state levels. She's a published author, with her most recent publications focusing on equity and access when creating virtual exchange experiences for students in higher education. Her primary research interests include access and use of educational technology in the classroom, specifically the disparity of access and use amongst typically marginalized populations. Other research interests include the positionality of educators regarding the use of technology in their classrooms and exploring those associated barriers or facilitators. Dr. Tadal holds degrees in the areas of behavior analysis, education, and an earned PhD in curriculum and instruction with a focus on digital equity. Her professional mission is to advocate for equity and digital access amongst all students. So when I need an expert on digital instruction, this is who I call, okay? This is who's been helping us put our program online as we move forward to the 21st century. We are honored that she has accepted our invitation tonight to be our 2002 commencement ceremony keynote speaker. So please put your hands together to welcome Dr. Stephanie Delgado.
Why, hello. So this is going to be geared towards the graduates, and if anybody wants to participate, feel free. So if you have experienced any of the following while you've been enrolled in this school, please stand or raise your hand if your feet hurt. The first one is if you have started a family or happily ended one. Let's not judge, right? So if you've started a family, please feel free to stand up and raise your hand. If you started a new job since you've been enrolled. Yeah? Okay, if you moved to, you see how many people? Okay, it only takes one. Remember, that only takes one. If you've moved to another city or state, or country, or residence, or zip code, there you go, stand up. Accomplish a life dream, like a bucket list item, right? Something you've always wanted to do. You see how exciting this is getting? If you had a bad day and decided to still get out of bed and do what needed to be done, since you've been enrolled in this program, please stand up. And just in case we haven't, if you have celebrated at least one birthday in the last 5 years, please stand up. Everybody. I'm not a medical doctor, but I can count. There we go. All right, so we should all be up or with our hands up. So please go ahead. Thank you for participating. Go ahead and sit down. So, like Mrs. Chauncey, I also like a good theme. And my theme for today is going to be resiliency. And I want you to see that we've all had different experiences, different challenges, different circumstances to deal with, but we all have one thing in common. And that one thing is that we made it to the finish line, right? No matter what it took, we got here. So I'm going to tell you a little bit of my story and my finish line. When I was in school getting my degree, like many of you, I wasn't just a student. I was a full-time employee, I was a part-time teacher, I had a 3-month-old, I was a wife, and then the daughter to a father who was fighting cancer. For all of these reasons, I felt justified in quitting, but for all of these reasons, I had to continue. I worked very hard and fought very hard to ensure that my father was able to see me graduate. When we found out that he was sick, I told him I was quitting school. He said, okay, I'm quitting chemo. And I'm like, Dad, you can't do that. And he's like, you guys quit, I quit. And I told him the way any good father, any good daughter tells her father, that's not fair. And he said, you don't get it. And I told him, Dad, that's not fair. You can't quit chemo because I'm quitting school. And he said, no, you don't get it. What's not fair is life. And if we stop every time there's a challenge, we will never get anywhere. So you guys quit, I quit. Well, he left me no choice because I don't want to bear that burden, right? So I had to keep going. And I'm glad I did. So you see, my purpose in continuing school was greater than a timeline or convenience, right? My purpose was for my parents to celebrate this moment together alongside the rest of my family, to reach this milestone and not have any regrets along the way. So I remember meeting with my major professor in 2018, and I told her that my father had recently been diagnosed with cancer. So far, it's no big deal, but I need to finish up and graduate by 2019. So she looked at me as if I was crazy. I smiled big and I said, hey, so let's do it, right? 1 year to get it done was unheard of. I hadn't even gotten IRB approval. So then very compassionately, she told me that she would do everything she could to get me there, but that it was going to be a lot of work in a short amount of time, and a lot of it was going to depend on me. So at that moment, she saw me for more than just her student. She saw me as a daughter. Her own father had recently lost his battle to cancer, so she understood the pressure that I was under. She knew I was a daughter desperately trying to meet an insane deadline just so that her father could be witness to yet another one of his children being conferred with the highest degree one can receive, as President Rosenberg of FIU said at the time. So my dad was pretty excited, and he repeatedly asked me when I was graduating, and not very confident, I would tell him, Dad, in December. And he would ask me again, and I would say, yeah, in December. So in the spring of 2019, I completed my research. I wrote a 150-page dissertation in 8 days. I met with my committee members, and everything was moving along nicely. We had no room for error, and this was in July. We scheduled the dissertation defense for October 2019, so all we had to do was just wait. So the day finally came, and my dad wasn't able to attend because he had just had chemo earlier in the week and he wasn't feeling well. I defended my dissertation in front of my committee, my family and my friends. Although I was confident, I was nervous because there was a lot riding on their signatures. After the dissertation presentation, my committee met and then they called me in. They discussed how the research methodology was solid and that overall was a very good dissertation with incredible implications for the field, but a few of the members wanted me to publish, so they wanted me to do more. One of my committee members, not being aware of the situation, said that I don't have to graduate in December, I can just publish and graduate in spring. That way I could do a lot more with the paper and make sure that I had publications under my belt before graduating. This was a standard that nobody else had been held to. So with tears in my eyes, I looked at my major professor and she said she's graduating in December, she's ready, and we're not waiting till spring. Again, at that moment, it wasn't about Stephanie the student, it was about Stephanie the daughter. I left the defense very upset, trying to hide it. My mom was in tears because what mattered was that she heard I passed. The but with edit parts didn't seem to faze her. She knew what we were going through at home and how hard it was to concentrate on anything, including being a new mom, working full-time, and completing this doctoral dissertation. Very annoyed, I told her, yes, mother, I passed, but I have edits, and I have work to do. Her response was, okay, Stephanie, so you do it, right? Simple enough. I had nothing in me left for the process. I spent about a full week crying, giving up, and finally I had to recommit. I told my parents I was quitting, and they both laughed at me and said I was ridiculous. I told my husband I was quitting, and he said, right, that's not happening. My dad told me that if it was so easy to get the degrees, that everybody would go ahead and do it. He also told me that I was making a big deal out of nothing because this was my calling. These things came natural to me. He told me, Stephanie, get it done. And so Stephanie got it done. I started reading more and conceptualizing more. I would think about it while putting my 9-month-old, 12-month-old, 14-month-old, because the time passes, right? So while putting her to bed, I'm thinking about this research topic while driving to work. I would just quietly think about what my committee was asking me. So finally one day, about 8 days later, because we're pressed for time, I felt ready. And I added about 15 additional pages covering everything from the defense meeting. I addressed strong suggestions, mild suggestions, and even suggestions that started with, it's not important, but it would be nice to see. Everything went in there because this was the last chance I had to make this deadline I had created for myself in my head. So if I agreed or didn't agree, I added everything in my paper, because at the end of the day, I was at the mercy of my teachers. And at the end of the day, the advocating comes from me. It's me advocating for me. The same power struggle I argued against in my dissertation is ironically the position I now find myself in. This was my goal, my education, my degree. And at the end of the day, nobody cares about my future as much as I do. So I had to do it. It was on me to get it done. I got it done, and I finally had my form signed, and I prepared for graduation. So at the ceremony, as everybody was celebrating us, the graduates, I wasn't excited, I wasn't happy, I was full of grief and relief. Relief that I made it, but grief because the reality of why I was settling in. So I graduated on December 15, 2019, and my dad told everybody he could that he had 2 kids who were doctors. That was the moment I fought so hard for. After the graduation, his health started to decline rather rapidly, and he passed away 1 month later on January 16th. So why do I share this story every chance I get? Because it's important. There will always be a reason as to why we can continue and as to why we can quit. It depends on you. It's your choice which path you're going to take. As educators, we dedicate ourselves to making it better for you. You all had real life situations to deal with, but you're all here now. You made it, and that has to be celebrated. You have to celebrate you when nobody else is willing to. We meet our students in our classrooms, and many of us ignore all the other facets of your lives, and that's not okay. More than deadlines and content found in multiple choice exams, we have to teach you all resiliency. I experienced some of the happiest moments those 3 years getting my degree, but also some of the saddest. And what got me through to keep pushing was the resiliency that had been instilled within me. The support system around me, my husband, my parents, the faculty, this was for them too. They were invested in this process. We have to teach you all how to compartmentalize at times, so that even though the world is looking bleak around you, you can still get up and do what has to be done. There will be highs and lows, and these are just moments that will pass. We have to help prepare you for what comes after that moment. In an environment like this one in a school like this, they saw you holistically and with compassion. Everyone here is very excited for you, so eager to see you succeed. They're very proud that you took the step to invest in yourself, your future, and the generation that comes after you. Because success is generational. and education and access is generational. You have successfully impacted those who come after you, and that is worth celebrating. So as a researcher, I love two good things. I love an acronym and I love a framework, right? So I'm going to give you an acronym I've been using for several years, and it's just a list of steps I follow every time I'm about to really use it, and I need to rein it in. So I use a SMART approach. It's SMART, and it's a list of steps. So for S, right, I remind myself to separate the emotion from the situation and to identify a support system. For me, it's my husband, and it's my mom. I don't know if they're thrilled, but I am. My M is for motivation, right? I go back to the beginning, and the question is, what motivates me? Like, why did I even sign up for this? Why did I pay that application fee? Why am I here? And what have I done that has brought me just a little bit closer to that goal? The A, and this is very important, you have to be able to articulate your needs. If you cannot articulate your needs, you cannot expect anybody to figure out what it is that you need. You have to be able to figure out what you need and what you need to keep going, right? So what needs to be resolved and what resources do you need to make it there? The R is to reflect. What worked, what didn't work, and why are you in a position where you're about to lose it, right? You want to identify that so you don't do it again. The T is twofold. Is to take control and remember that it's temporary. And it's the same thing we tell our little ones. You got a bad grade, you keep it moving, right? Things are temporary, highs and lows. The things that highs and lows have in common is that they all pass. So what are you gonna do after that moment passes? All of these things will teach you a lesson. So to conclude, right, I wanna ask you not to sell yourself short. Be the example you either have or you wish you had. Do things that make you proud, and be your own accountability partner. Continue to invest in yourself, in your education, and advocate for those who need you. You now have a chance to be a voice for those who need one at a very vulnerable time in their lives. Use it proudly. Wear that badge with honor. And lastly, if nobody has told you today, I am proud of you for starting this program and for seeing it through the end. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Tadal. Can we hear it again for Dr. Tadal, please? All right. After listening to Dr. Altine and Dr. Tadal, I have no doubt that as you graduates grow, improve, and face adversities in your new journey, you will know how to take it. You will know to take it all in and do the right thing. After the battles come the rewards. So we were there. But if you allow me, I would like to steal a little moment of your time to do something which is not necessarily part of the program, but I think is necessary. We all have heard that behind every successful man, there is a successful woman. And vice versa. Today, I'm declaring in 2022 that we're done with that. I am declaring that behind every success, since we are celebrating success tonight, there is a team. Behind every success, there is a team. You can put me in the future. To that end, I am taking the liberty to ask Mr. Maestro Robert Chancy to step up to the podium. Just do it by themselves. But the idea, they are the head of the whole thing. So I want to say that, and also, he is a good buddy who plays cards with my husband. Very often, I need my husband to play some cards so I can go play with my sisters. But he can play because Lou Bear has to work. Okay? So I know he works. I know they work and they work hard. So on behalf of my family, our friends, and everybody that has the privilege of knowing them and working with them, I want to say thank you for being the friends that you are, the hard workers that you are, the community people that you are, and I pray that God bless you with the strength and the vision to continue the good work. Again, after the battle comes the reward. It's your time to get your reward, which is your, what is your reward again?